Hey friends, I'm Rob, and welcome to my channel. So how do we navigate things on guitar? You know, there are no black keys or white keys or combinations of pearly keys like on a horn, only strings and frets. We have to use a tuner or some sort of reference note, like a pitch pipe, in order to be playing in the right key. If you don't want to drop 50 to 100 bucks on a tuner, or even more than that in some cases, which I do suggest you do sometime sooner rather than later, you can download some sort of tuner app and use that for right now. You know, some apps are free, but there's some pretty good ones out there that you can download for just a few bucks. On my pedal board, I use the TC Electronic Polytune 2, and I also use the ClearTune app, which cost me about $3 probably a decade ago. So I'm not sure what it costs now, and neither of those brands are paying me to say this, so they're just great products. Okay, so what you want to do first is you want to get in tune. If you don't know how to do that, from low string to high string, it's E, A, D, G, B, and E. Now, I'm not going to tell you the layout of the entire fretboard right here. You can just Google it, and there's a bunch of image resources out there you can use for your own reference. So just Google guitar fretboard map or something like that. So when it comes to figuring out what notes are what, they do follow a pattern. So 1 fret on the guitar equals 1 half step in terms of music theory. There are 12 frets on the guitar, also 12 half steps from unison note to octave. And one thing to remember, that's never going to change. That's always going to stay the same as long as you're playing some type of Western music and not using some kind of scales with quarter tones and stuff in it. Okay, so there's one thing that you need to know. There are 2 sets of notes in the full chromatic 12-note chromatic scale that are only 1 half step apart from each other. Everything else has a whole step in between it. So B and C and E and F are only 1 half step apart from one another. There is no C flat, it's B. There is no E sharp, it is F. So every other note is going to have another sharp or flat in between it, and it's going to be called a sharp or flat depending on the context and whatever key you're playing in. For example, if you have A flat, that's the note in between G and A, if you don't already know that. Okay, moving on. So when you lay it all out, all the notes starting from E and going up to E are E, F, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat, A sharp or B flat, B, C, C sharp or D flat, D, D sharp or E flat, and E. So you can just find some kind of reference point like an open string or a note that you may have already memorized, and then just count the half steps either up or down to figure out where you're at until you can commit that to full memory. Okay, so here's what we're going to do first. We're going to find E other than the 2 open strings. So we have E on the open string, the low string, and on the very high string. Both those are E. So if I want to find another E, I can just go up 12 frets to find the octave. All right, so we have 4 E's already. Let's try to find it on the A string so we can count it up by half steps or frets. And if we remember that B and C are back to back, and E and F are back to back, everything else is going to have an extra note, which is going to be considered either a sharp or a flat. We can count up to E from A. All right, so we're on the 5th string here. That's A. The last one was A. This is B flat. There's B. There's C. Remember, B and C are back to back. There's C sharp or D flat. D, D sharp or E flat, and there's your E. Okay, so, and if I want to find an E an octave up in the same position, I use what I call the 2x2 octaves trick. You go up 2 strings in tone, up 2 frets in tone. So there's my E, I go up 2 strings and up 2 frets. So I can play it like this. And then when I get up here, I kind of have to, because of the way the guitar is tuned, you have to shift the frets up 1 fret. So it's kind of a 2x3 octave thing. So you go, There's your E. You go up 2 strings and up 3 frets. Up to the, what do you know? Octave on the high E string. Okay, so we've got low E, high E. We've got the octaves up here at the 12th fret. We've got E on the A string, the 5th string, and the 7th fret. We go up 2 by 2. Okay, and then from right here, we can go all the way up. So there's a bunch of E's right there. We can also do the 2 by 2 octave trick down here on the low E string. Up 2 strings, up 2 frets. So we're talking about the 2nd fret on the D string. Also, it's the D string. E is going to be 2 notes away from it because there's going to be a half step in between a full step in between D and E, which is going to be D sharp or E flat. And then again, instead of 2 by 2, it's 2 by 3 this time up here. The only reason we do that switch between the 2 by 2 and 2 by 3 is because of this pesky interval between G, which is our 3rd string, and B, our 2nd string. Those are tuned as a major 3rd. The rest of the guitar is tuned in 4ths. So it kind of throws everything off from that point on. So if I was to just go up 1 fret and do my octaves, 2 by 2, this is A, by the way. I'm going to go up to the 5th string at the 5th fret, and that's going to be D. Those are my D octaves. Then if I go up to the 4th string, that's G. That's when we have to make that shift to from 2 by 2 to 2 by 3. All right, and same thing right there with C. All right. Okay, so there are your octaves. You can kind of start to make your way around the guitar right now. Now you're starting to find your notes. One thing I like to do is I like to go through the whole guitar and find my notes from the low all the way up to the highest note that I can play. So you're looking for the common pitch. You know, you don't want to be actually hitting the octaves until you have to go up to the next octave, basically. Low E, that's the lowest E we're going to get on the guitar. All right, and we come up here to the 12th fret. There's an E. We got another E at the, remember, 7th fret, 5th string. Okay, and then we have another E at the 4th string, 2nd fret. Let's work it up a little higher. All the way up here at the 19th fret. On the 5th string, there's an E. We got it at the 14th fret on the D string, the 4th string. All right, we also have it on the 3rd string at the 9th fret. Okay, and then we also have it at the 5th string, or the 5th fret on the B string, the 2nd string rather. Right there, and then our open E. Okay, and then we also have it all the way up here at the 21st fret on the G string. Whew. I have to shift my hand around in order to do that. Okay, and then we have it at the, what is that, the 17th fret. It's kind of the equivalent of the 5th fret. If this is, you know, the nut of the guitar all the way down here. So this is at the 17th fret on the B string. We also have it at the 12th fret, high E string. That's your octave. We've already played that one before. And I can't hit the other one all the way up here. So those are all your E's. Since the guitar is pretty much tuned off of the note E, knowing where all of your E's are at is very important. All right, now it's your turn to find some notes. I have a video coming up here pretty soon where we're going to work around visualization, and this is really going to involve E, C, and either G sharp or A flat. Don't ask me why now, I'll explain it in the future. But yeah, so for example, if I was doing C, have a C right there. I also have a C all the way up here. And like to do that little trick when I like to go all the way up and down the fretboard. I won't get too deep into that exercise right now, but you can have a lot of fun just messing around and trying to find out where all your notes are at. We're going to take things even a step further into my method over the course of the next multiple videos, so if you really want to know music, please stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, and comment down below. We are diving deep right here. So if you like that sort of stuff, you're not going to want to miss what's coming up. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I'll see you next time.